And I'm muted. Hello, everyone, and welcome. How are we doing today? I hope everyone's ready for the first of these little flashback episodes as we get to have some fun. We're gonna start with, I'm gonna let Lindy introduce herself. Oh, well, I'm gonna introduce myself. I should do that first, right? Yeah, that's a thing, right? It's Sunday. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm your friendly neighborhood Prax. This is the channel, this is the fun times, and Sundays we do Romance the Blue Rose. But in between this season, for this first season that we just finished and the start of the second season, we're going to be doing some flashbacks episodes for each of these little solo episodes for each of these characters. And we're going to start with the wonderful, the fabulous, and always fun. Hey, Lindy.
Hi, that's me. I'm Lindy, and I will be playing Ritka Sokolov. But in the past, hence all of this corruption. And Tesla also wants to say hello. She wants to feel included at all times.
Yes, all of the corruption.
Because there's a lot of corruption.
There's a lot of corruption going on. There's a lot. Like a lot. All the corruption at this point, really.
Practically. Like, if she were to die, she would be coming back as something else. Right now.
Oh, you would be coming back as something definitely not human.
Definitely not human. Probably a vampire.
Yeah, you're not quite fancy enough to be a lich, I'm sorry.
No, not enough magic, and she's fine with that.
So yes, that is indeed, we are starting with our friendly neighborhood, well, Knight of the Skull. And this leads to my next question, everyone. To you, Lindy.
I am everyone.
You are everyone. You are the only one today.
True.
Tonight.
It's easy to be everyone when you're the only one.
This is also true. But, I guess the first question I have to ask you, Lindy, is, when you are acting, when Ritka, this is 5 years before the start of our game. When Ritka, back before the invasion of Kern, back before this you had fled to Aldis, back before the end of season 1's rather interesting events, shall we say. What was Ritka like? Who was she?
Oh.
What was she? It is a, well, let's put it this way. It is a new day in Kern.
I'd say the birds are singing, but...
Birds don't sing in Kern.
It's not really the aesthetic there. So, Ritka is a very different individual at this point in time. She's still very stalwart. Certain things are the same. She's still very stalwart to, her friends and the people she works with and, what she's pledged her life to. But those things that she's pledged her life to at this point are very different. Mostly because she's a Knight of the Skull, and so she's really, really hardcore rooting for the Lich King, which, maybe nice people don't do that, She wouldn't know, though, because she is not a nice person at this point in
No.
time.
No, she's not.
One might use the word sadist to describe some or a lot of her tendencies. Um, she very much she likes some bloodshed. You know, some good stabbing, some murder, ooh, some torture, some information extraction, and not even, you know, it's good to have a reason to do it, I guess, but she doesn't necessarily need a reason to do it. Also, the debauching. There's so much debauchery within the Knights of the Skull at this point in time. So, you know, it's just she's living a very different lifestyle from whence we see her 5 years in the future.
Yes. I mean, some people might say that she's a very nice lady.
She is a perfect, a shining example of what a Kernish lady should be. What a good Kernish lady should be.
How long have you served in the Knights of the Skull?
150 years.
Dedicated. Long.
Oh, very dedicated. If you know, someone in the Knights of the Skull above her in rank, of course, like Lady Tallis or Lich King, said jump, she would say how high. Like, just in it to win it. In it for the long haul. Doesn't even question orders given. Except for possibly how she can fulfill them the best way.
Because clarity is important when you serve someone like Lady Tallis.
Yes. You don't want to mess up.
And Ritka has never messed up.
Surprisingly, no. She has an excellent track record.
But you have a new partner.
Yeah, gold stars all across the board on her report card. But she's got her last partner died in a tragic wyvern accident. And so now she's saddled up with a new partner who I don't think has been in the Knights of the Skull nearly as long.
No.
You know, one of those, send the newbie or the newer person out with the experienced person kind of dealios.
Yeah, it's your own training day.
Fun.
She hasn't been with you, well, serving with you very long.
Mm-hmm.
A couple weeks. Enough to a point that you might feel comfortable that she will not intentionally violate orders.
Okay. That's good. Not intentionally.
But what this day? It's early spring in what passes for Kern. Kern being this high mountain desert. There's some farming production, but the level of corruption that the Lich King brings permeates the water, the ground, the very air you breathe.
I imagine there's a lot of turnips and potatoes because those are pretty resilient vegetables.
Mustard greens.
Yep.
Dandelions. Not a lot of grain.
No.
There's meats on occasion. Well, for you.
Yeah. Her family is a little nicer off than a lot of the population of Kern.
Mm-hmm. And the population of Kern is very early Bolshevik Russia.
Yeah.
There's, if you people are assigned to tasks. Oh, actually, less early Bolshevik Russia and early Maoist China.
Ah.
So not everyone is necessarily as skilled in the particular tasks that they are assigned to. But it hasn't caused a widespread famine and starvation.
At least yet. It's worked so far. Why change anything up?
Your new-ish partner. Does she even rate the title partner yet?
I don't think Ritka acknowledges her as a partner yet, no. I think she definitely is like more like intern. Newbie. New gal.
Fresh blood.
Fresh blood. Yeah. Probably very rarely even calls her by her name. It's more just probably just fresh blood. You know, to get to this task, that task, etc. Because when you've been in the Knights of the Skull for 150 years, there's a lot of fresh bloods.
Can you roll me intimidation?
I would love to.
Communication, intimidation. I just want to see how.
Oh, communication, intimidation. Okay, I have strength intimidation.
Well, you can. Yes, you are allowed to use strength intimidation because of your class.
Oh, I rolled terribly.
It's okay. I mean, she is brand new. You are well known.
She doesn't try that hard.
Yeah, it's not. You don't have to try that hard to be intimidating. You are intimidating.
You just wafts off.
Yeah, the level of corruption you just exude.
It's a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
And like almost 2 centuries of corruption.
This leads to my next question.
Yes.
When you are gearing up to head out, Lady Tallis has informed you that she wants you to investigate rumors of dissidents on a border town.
Always dissidents in a border town.
What does it look like? What does Ritka look like now?
Well, if she's getting sent out to deal with dissidents in a border town, I mean, can't they see that the grass isn't greener on the... Well, I mean, it's literally greener, but it's not figuratively greener on the other side. They just don't know how good they had it here in Kern. It's hard to say that with a straight face. So she would get dressed up because, you know, it's always good to show a little bit of force, not to let these border towns forget that these Knights of the Skull can just show up at any time. It's an example. Ritka loves setting examples. Makes other people more compliant. So full Knights of the Skull armor. Probably it's clean, but I'd imagine that there's a lot of blood stains and splatters that have intentionally not been cleaned off of it. But the inside, you know, all the parts that matter are clean. Silver skull mask. She's got her hair, the roots of her hair are actually darkened from corruption to about the tips of her ears, and she has long, curly hair that goes probably down to about her waist that she would wear pulled half back. Let the mask sit on a little easier. But she is confident. She is cruel if there's somebody in her way, and if they don't get out of her way, they are moved out of her way, and not in a nice way. And just ready to go. She's also very pale, very pallid compared to how she is in 5 years' time. Dark circles under her eyes, and all of her veins are very prominent. Some in the more brighter reds, some in the blacks and blues and purples. It's just looks a lot. This looks very corrupt. Like, wow, what a Kernish example of Kern. What an upstanding citizen right there.
A very upstanding citizen, one might say.
Peak example of a Skull Knight.
And you have another companion aside from your new blood.
Yes, and she definitely would have spent way more time and attention on her constant companion rather than the new blood. And that would be her Wyvern Carnage. He earned his name when he was very small. When he was just a little wyvern. He, just murdered like half of his, hatchling patriots, and, not in a neat way. It was very messy. And so Ritka was like, that one. And that's, Carnage has been with her for a while. For a long while.
But this day, Ludmilla is waiting for you outside. She is mostly silent. She's begun the path of corruption that you're on. Nowhere near where you are yet. She's also human.
She's got some dark circles, I bet. Maybe a little gaunt, maybe slightly pale, but
yeah, pale.
Such a babe.
Yeah, she
Such
is
a baby.
Proficient enough, but has yet to distinguish herself in any way that, well, anyone would consider, important.
Yeah, she hasn't really stood out yet, but I guess it's better to not stand out for anything good, and also not stand out for anything terrible. Good and terrible being very relative terms here.
Yes.
And she'd look the new blood up and down, make sure she didn't forget anything. She looks like she's actually ready.
Yeah, she looks like she's actually ready. There doesn't seem to be any doesn't seem to be any actual she's got her armor, her mask, she stands next to her wyvern, that blackened plate that you all wear just fit correctly, the chain underneath darkened.
Probably polished really well,
yeah,
immaculately, because again, new. You haven't earned the right to keep crusty old blood on your armor yet.
Yes, you haven't done anything of note or value to distinguish yourself in a way that would allow Lady Tallis to say you can keep the marks of your service. But you are headed to a border town. It's a quiet flight. There's not a lot of, the wonderful little medallions you wear allow for telepathic communication between the two of you if you chose.
Do you choose? Imagine the lines open. Very quiet. Which is good, because Ritka just hates chatty people. They're the worst.
They are indeed.
Why would you be talking when you could be putting that energy towards getting ready to torture or stab or murder or thinking of ways to do these things better. Just, well, especially with people she doesn't know particularly well. Like she can get talkative with people she's worked with for a long time. Like if it was Fedor or Dmitri, she might be a little more inclined to speak about other things, but as a new blood.
But also, Fedor and Dmitri aren't going to be inclined to, waste time chatting either.
Exactly. It's so frivolous.
They would communicate if it was necessary, or if there was something gossip-worthy to share. Well, not really gossip, but...
a little gossip.
A little gossip. I have a question to ask you.
I have an answer, hopefully, for you.
What do you do as you see this small border village in the foothills of the Icebinder Mountains? It's some fields you can see, but the majority of it seems to be some sort of production. New establishment, relatively. Construction.
Interesting. It's a newer establishment. Definitely. And there's dissidence, definitely an example needs to be made. A bit showier than usual, perhaps. But they do seem to, if they're doing production, especially if it's food production, then it can't be too bloody of an example. So I think that telepathically, we'll circle a couple of times before landing in the center there. Give them something to see.
Of course.
Just like vultures kind of circling over the town for a couple times. Circling the town for a couple of times. Well, the townspeople just can't help but look up and watch. Because being on the border, I'm sure it's not every day they see wyverns, and I'm pretty sure that they know what that means.
Yes.
And also, while circling around, she's gonna use her eyeballs.
You're gonna use your eyeballs to.
I'm gonna use my eyeballs to see things. Just see, maybe if certain people are going to hide, what do they have to hide? One might ask. Or if certain people are trying to run, you're a good Kernish citizen. What reason would you have to run? So just looking out, seeing what they got going on with my eyeballs.
With a 15, the minute you start circling and you break cloud cover, because there's almost always perpetual clouds.
Yeah, we come down out of the clouds and start circling because it's much more dramatic.
Yes.
I'll throw some theatrics in there.
A number of people who are in the fields slowly start running towards the center of town, not in a manner that seems like they're trying to run away from you, but as if to
greet.
Yes.
To see what's going on. Yes. To see the spectacle. Those are good citizens. All right.
There's a large, very brutalist looking building in the center of town, which probably doubles as both, administrative offices and some sort of gathering place. It's a small town. We are not, if we were to rate this on an American scale, there is not a traffic light.
Oh. And looking at that, she would be thinking to herself, all right, there's dissidents in this small, very small new town. There's probably one very charismatic instigator or a small group of instigators. So
yes, there is a There are 2 roads, one north-south, one east-west. They meet in the center of town, where you are about to land.
Fantastic.
On this small square, where there is, of course, a very appropriate statue of the Lich King.
Oh, of course. I mean, if it wasn't in the center of town, what are these people doing with their lives? They needed to be perpetually reminded of his glory every single day.
Yeah, full-on Lenin.
Yes. It's magnificent.
It is something.
Like, it's not as nice as the statue that, you know, Ritka gets to see all the time in, like, the Knights of the Skull, you know, training grounds and areas and at home. But, you know, it's a nice statue.
Yeah, it's a very, you know, serviceable. A number of, couple other people have come out of the, you know, various buildings as if to, like, gather. As you are landing, just about as you are landing, the person who you're pretty sure is, you know, the functionary, the town administrator, has come out of the main, you know, hall. He walks that line between deferential but also pompous ass.
Oh, wonderful.
You know, one of those lifelong bureaucrats who recognizes that you're outside the chain of, you know, you exist in a manner that's outside and can enforce authority over him, but at the same time he is a good bureaucrat, so he has been the little king of this small pond for the last little while, probably since this village was established.
Probably. Well, he tries to little king himself in her or Ludmilla's direction. He's gonna regret that. I think as they're coming to a land, she will say, because, you know, she's been on a few missions with Ludmilla at this point, shown not complete incompetence. Telepathically say, why don't you take the lead on this investigation? I want to see what you're capable of.
She merely nods. She doesn't respond verbally, or even telepathically.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 Wervins land perfectly on opposite sides of the statue of the Lich King. Just enough so it looks...
Yeah. I imagine there's a slight plume of dust, and Carnage would definitely have, like, the wings out, like, roar up into the sky. Like, sup bitches, I'm here, kind of. Like, you know he's got some sass.
He do. Ludmilla's Wyvern is a little bit younger. And is, Rancid is his name.
Oh, okay. Not a bad naming convention. You know, I personally would have gone with something a little bit more bloodthirsty, but, you know, Rancid's not bad.
He also seems to have an actual poison spray,
yeah.
So...
okay, yeah, alright, fair.
You know, he's a little smaller than Carnage, not a, you know...
He's younger.
He's younger.
He's not the alpha
he is
Wyvern in this scenario.
And he doesn't even try and pretend to be.
That's good for him, because I don't think Carnage would take that.
I don't think Carnage would take it either. But as Ludmilla dismounts, you know, he kind of drops that shoulder forewing arm enough for her to dismount, and then shifts back up, and then it's kind of like does that thing there. He just crosses his and sets his head and is tilted just enough that he's like evaluating everyone who's here. And at this point there are about like maybe 100 people, maybe. You can hear shouts as if more people are coming from further out, you know, other buildings.
And
And
if they weren't coming before, the Carnage definitely let everyone know we are here.
yeah,
So.
pretty much. You know, it's Carnage is not quiet. He's not
Ever.
No.
Really.
And
He's not a stealth mission wyvern for a reason.
No. Yeah. Rancid could maybe be one.
Mm-hmm.
If he was trained up a little bit in how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But since Ludmilla's first partner has been you, and you don't do that.
She's not learned that at all. Yeah.
She's not. Rancid hasn't learned how to do that. No. Because Carnage is, of course, Rancid's teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of training in bellowing and projecting menace.
Gotta use that diaphragm, says Carnage and Wyvern. Just use the diaphragm.
Be louder. Scare more.
Mm-hmm. Scare more. Intimidate everyone you meet. Always.
Did you roll for your intimidation yet? No. Why have you not tried yet?
Why have you not? Why are you... Imagine he's looking at the evaluating, like the head tilt, and it's like, gives like just like the snort of like, all right, that's acceptable.
It's like you're not, you're not roaring at the intimidation, but okay, you're being creepy intimidating.
But you're being creepy and unsettling. All right, that works.
That works.
That vibe works for you.
And Ludmilla will stride forward, and you've given her the go-ahead to do this, and she's like...
Let's just see how she approaches this.
She announces loudly. Like, strides forward, not quietly, scans the crowd. You know, it gives that beat, like, a half second, like she's waiting to make sure that, like, they're silent. You know, as if she's pulling, like, a school teacher waiting for this class to silence. But they're already silent. Who's here?
Yeah, so it's just even more unsettling. You're like, oh god, when is she gonna speak?
You have 3 minutes to bring me the one who rejects the authority of the Lich King. Starting now. And then just stands there.
I want to look at the crowd. How... Not bad. But it's not good. That was just very... Yeah.
Would you like to roll perception empathy?
Oh, yes. My strong suits.
The very nice people in chat have given you 2 conviction.
That's wonderful, because this Ritka has no conviction.
Yes. So
yeah,
you need
too much corruption. Yeah.
Just all the corruption.
Oh, that's actually really good. Really good.
With 6 stunt points.
With 6 stunt points. Let's see. Let me look at these exploration stunts, because I think this would be an exploration
This is
stunt.
definitely an exploration.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay. I have 6 stunt points?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to spend 3 stunt points for the object of your attention. You receive a +1 bonus to further tests to examine or perceive additional aspects of the object. So the crowd.
The crowd, yeah. We'll just call the crowd an object.
Until the timer venue changes. And then... Let's do speedy search, which is 2, half the time it would take.
Mm-hmm.
And then advantageous positioning for that last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the advantageous positioning is if it falls into combat, you can shift your order in the initiative. So you've been to many villages like this. You have done this many times. It does not take you very long to scan the entire crowd. Majority of the population is human. Almost all of it. There are like 3 night people, probably all related,
Mm-hmm.
who have been
Family or something.
Yeah, who had come from the like, not the farms, but one of the. You're pretty sure it's like a forge of some sort.
Yeah.
You know, a production building.
Mm-hmm.
And evaluating them, you're like, they're all older. They're not new citizens. They came. They were sent here. You know, your first thought of these.
They're probably craftspeople who were sent to help get this thing up and going. Yeah.
They are the first thing that the three of them are very confused and immediately look to you, as it's very obvious, like
we've seen this before. This is not usually how it goes.
We've seen this before. This is not a good conversation to be having, but this is also not how this conversation usually starts. And all three of them, you can immediately feel, if they had any psychic shields up, have lowered them.
Mm-hmm.
Just gone. They have no intention of, like, they're not trying to hide.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A couple other people in the crowd are very confused and are kind of looking at each other, or pulling that, what's going on? I don't understand. Is this a, you know, am I supposed to know what's going on? Do you know what's going on? The gentleman who, you know, somehow makes that that Mao shirt and pants, you know, very brutalist look that should be like a uniform appearance seem specialized, and it's just like, it's just a little bit better fit. It's just a little
He's had it tailored.
He's had it tailored. It's the little things that he's doing to show off the fact that he is the administrator. It kind of strides forward and begins to expound at Ludmilla, basically, there's no one here who objects to the authority of the Lich King. We are all proud members of Kern who serve him his glory, and he's going on and on and on and on and on. And it's you've heard this, and you're actually like halfway through this, you're like, no, wait, I literally have heard this. Oh my god, he's taking this directly from a bunch of the, you know, propaganda literature.
Propaganda.
And you're like, oh my god. This is just... He can't even write his own speeches. He's taking it literally from the propaganda department.
Wow. How is Ludmilla taking this? How is she dealing with this? I imagine he came up to her.
He strode towards her, like he didn't get into her space.
Oh,
but
not in her space, because that would be dumb.
Because that would be dumb. He's not an idiot. He is a professional bureaucrat and an asshole. But he's not an idiot. So he has moved forward in front of the crowd, but still leaving a decent distance between the two of them.
Yeah. I don't want to get backhanded right off the bat.
Yeah. She's getting more and more frustrated, but at the same time, it's also that level of frustration of like, I can't inherently object to anything you're saying because everything you're saying I'm supposed to agree with, you know. It's like he's vomiting the propaganda departments.
Yeah.
And so she's like, yes, of course, we all praise the Lich. Yeah. Oh, that's not what and she doesn't know how to deal with pompous bureaucrat. This is
in which case, I think like the dust clouds from the Wyvern's Landing have settled a bit, and Ritka comes out. Now, we just have a few simple questions that shouldn't take too much time. Of course, because we are all very loyal to the Lich King. We would hate for this to drag on any longer than necessary, than absolutely necessary, but Lady Tallis herself said that there was dissidents in this town. Now, would Lady Tallis lie?
No, of course not. Perhaps her information was someone else lied to her or gave her the wrong information.
Oh, really? So who would have the balls to lie to Lady Tallis?
You can also just see out of the corner of your eye these 3 night people, craftsmen, who are trying really hard. It's like they're respecting you and all of this, but at the same time, it's like you are shutting down this pompous asshole that they've had to deal with for an extended period of time, and they're like, I can't laugh because it'd be inappropriate because it's not.
It'd be very appropriate to laugh, but this is very funny and satisfying.
Yeah, exactly. And you, because again, they've taken they took their shields down immediately, and there's just this. You hear kind of drift across, you know, not in an attempt to engage you mentally, but just a projection into space, like, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. and take a couple more steps forward towards this guy. Now, I heard and agree with everything you're spewing that you've read from the pamphlets and heard from, you know, the traveling minstrel. Because I imagine, like, all the music is just propaganda music.
Yes, but it's very good, you know, good.
It's good.
It's that good level of Soviet work
Yes.
music.
It's got a great rhythm, so you can keep working. It's a good, like, working music rhythm.
Yeah. It's like sea shanties or any other working song.
Yeah. Yep. And you know, anything from the information department. Now, seeing as how you've just been regurgitating things you've read, seen, and heard, I would like to hear in your own words what you have to think and say about this scenario. Also, the fact that you didn't have anything of your own to say initially makes me think that perhaps you've gotten a bit complacent, comfortable in this town, if you cannot even consider the idea of a dissident.
He is. Go ahead and roll intimidation.
Okay. I will roll intimidation.
Also, if at any point you are attempting to psychically scan any of these people, you know, doing that mind delve kind of thing, you know, that sorcery. Just that sorcery.
Oh, yes. Yes. Will do. She's gonna start with this.
It's enough to quiet him, you know, to break the... Yeah.
I'm important. Look at me regurgitate facts that you can't disagree with.
Yeah, basically. And he begins to... It's like, there is no one... All of these are good workers of Kern who have come, were sent by... And then he proceeds to label, you know, certain, you know...
metrics and...
you know, all of this is the town created by the Department of Agriculture for the purpose of providing food and stability, also the production of pottery craft for
Now, that is very well and good, but perhaps, is there anyone here in this, perhaps there is someone in this town who is not gathered here among us?
And then he kind of takes this moment to kind of look around and he goes, I think there are... And he kind of snaps his fingers behind him and in response, because of course this is the gentleman who's just slightly portly, right?
Yes.
He can't actually be a fat bureaucrat because
there's not enough food.
But
but he's not lean.
And he definitely
He has a
seems
little
to,
bit of a cushion, like a famine cushion.
yeah, a little bit more than that. Like, he actually eats on the regular. Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah. Well, he's the
doesn't,
cushion in case of famine. Like
yeah,
he'd be okay.
like, he'd be okay. Like, most of the people in this town are
Not okay.
not
Yeah.
okay. You can definitely see, although there is like a musculature developing, and you can with that earlier perception roll,
Eyeballs.
eyeballs roll and perception roll, you can definitely see that they've that a lot of the people here have started developing a musculature that they probably didn't have before they got here. And that they are actually eating slightly better.
Yeah. They're in the transitionary phase.
Yes.
This settlement isn't that old. They're in that little dip before it gets a little better. Yeah.
But they're a young, very weedy looking, shockingly very, not, what I would call almost Turkish looking individual. Anatolia, the steppe region, that level of not quite Middle Eastern, but, rider. He's also has very, very dark black curly hair, thinner, darker eyes. He's a very thin, tall individual, and he, immediately comes running up as the bureaucrat starts snapping his fingers. Bureaucrat, by the way, has not introduced himself. He didn't even attempt to.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
Didn't. This younger gentleman comes running up, and he, just nods very curtly to the bureaucrat, and almost as if he wants to bow to you. And he kind of like waits. It's like, and the bureaucrat turns. It's like, how many are missing? How many? Where are my notes? Where are my notes? And the younger gentleman kind of turns, and you just see him kind of do a very quick scan of the crowd. And you've been in these kind of villages before. You've been through Kern. This is one that you could see being promoted because he's good at his job.
Gotcha.
He didn't need to do much, just scan quick. There are about 50 people who are not yet here. The outer lying fields and the clay pits are some distance. I do believe they are on their way. Would our distinguished guests care for some refreshments? As he kind of says that as if perhaps we shouldn't ignore the niceties just because you're feeling like a pompous dick. And he says that to you.
Yes, some refreshments would be good. While we wait, you wouldn't mind, of course, if we take a look around your wonderful little village.
The younger gentleman doesn't. He goes to start to respond as if, of course, I will happily take you around. And it's like the bureaucrat kind of interrupts him and is like, no. Feel free to engage, to observe the wonder and the beauty of the workmen of Kern.
She opens her mouth as if she's going to respond. And it just doesn't. She's like, I don't need to thank him. We do what we want anyways. I was just polite to ask. Seeing as how they decided to finally be polite in return. And so...
Yes, the younger attaché, for lack of a better term, runs off, definitely to get some sort of refreshments. And kind of, you're pretty sure, I mean, given, to make sure that anyone who isn't here shows up. And At this point, there are probably about 200 people in this crowd.
Yeah. I think she'll go over to Carnage and, give him a nice long, like an itch behind, just the base of the neck where he likes it, and give him a signal. Basically means, like, go up in circle. And I'm pretty sure he'd be trained to play fetch, meaning if anyone's trying to leave or run, that he catches them and he fetches them and brings them back. And so she'll go send him up to do that.
Ooh. Can you roll me perception, seeing, and we'll use this for Carnage because
Sure.
I don't really have stats for the Wyvern. Well, I have stats for the Wyvern, but like...
That's cool. I'm gonna change it to dragon scale for this roll so we can pick it out later if we need to. 14. Good job, dragon eyeballs.
Good job. He is up and he can communicate with you. Because he's your bonded companion.
He is. We're bonded. He's so great.
Very similar to someone else's bonded companion later.
It's so crazy. What?
He, at the moment, there isn't anyone running. He will tell you that he sees people coming towards the center of town, but no one running from town.
Yeah.
Momentarily, just after you get this report from Carnage, the young attaché is back. He's brought a small, like, folding table, a couple folding chairs, there's a person who's literally following behind him with a tea set.
They're breaking out the fancy stuff.
They're breaking out the fancy stuff, and they kind of start setting things up as if, there's... Roll me perception empathy. Or perception psychic, your choice.
Oh, it's just gonna be straight perception for me. But I rolled a 14 with 5 stunt points.
+1 because you're still working for
yeah. Yeah, so 15.
So 15. The attaché is almost as if he's trying to get your attention.
Oh, like, he definitely seems more competent than the bureaucrat, so he would have his attention. He would have Rika's attention more than the bureaucrat.
So my next question is, you have the mask on. Did you leave the helm on?
I don't think so. I don't think she sees a reason to wear the helm for this trivial, excursion.
So you are a Vatasha, a minority population in Kern, although a powerful minority population.
Yes.
Because of the skills that you provide to the Lich King. He... As he he starts to pour you tea. And just opens his, like, that this is someone who's kind of worked before. He's another one who opens his mind and you kind of, like, feel him not brushing, per se, against you, but that level of, like, deferential, I want to share something with you, but I don't want to, it's not my place to attempt to engage, to attempt to begin such communication.
Yeah, she'll try to open that psychic contact.
Yes. You'll get a +1 on this because he wants to.
Pass fail. 18!
And a stunt point.
And a stunt point, which, let's see, magic stunts. I can increase the outcome. 19. There we go.
I sent the message to Lady Tallis.
Oh, I sensed your competence. Continue.
And as he's again, thank you for the donation of those bits. As he's, pouring tea, and you can tell as he's doing this, he's being very competent. He's pouring tea for you, he's pouring tea for the bureaucrat, he's pouring tea for Ludmilla, who at this point has kind of come over to the thing and is weird, okay, she's following your lead, but is slightly...
She had her chance to instigate this, and it didn't go well.
It didn't go well.
So she's taken over.
But she definitely seems to be taking this as a learning opportunity. She's not insulted by the fact that, there's no production of, hurt pride on her part kind of thing.
Good.
It's like, okay, I didn't do it the right way. Let me learn how to do it the right way. And so this attaché is, it's like, I sent the message. I have found letters from in Aldin.
That is out of the ordinary. Where did you find these letters?
A couple, left on the ground in the... he kind of, nods to the courtyard, kind of the square. They... offered... And you can just kind of, see him, even psychically, he's, distasteful and disdaining what he's about to say. It's like, sanctuary? And safe passage to that.
He would feel in return that disgust. But not that it's aimed towards him.
Yeah, it's that
he's being compliant. Sanctuary.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yes. I think she would say out loud, after this tea, your attaché can show us around town, and then telepathically to him, you can fetch me the letters in the meanwhile and present them to me during that time.
And he kind of nods as he finishes pouring, and he retreats, and another young woman comes up and begins offering tea snacks. Not quite biscuits, but
this is the bread that we have. It's a cookie. It's a hard biscuit.
It's like a step up from hardtack, yo.
Yep.
It's a biscotti. You can dunk it and it make it...
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah.
But the tea is pretty good.
Oh, I imagine it's a little better than it should be.
Just a touch.
And so it's like a sip, and then eyes ever slightly at the bureaucrat.
And then you like my tea?
Sipping.
It is a great pleasure.
Surprisingly good.
Yes. I needed to make sure that one such of your stature would be that we could supply and offer hospitality to great important people, so I make sure it comes from Skarn whenever possible.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's what is the you, bitch you lying check? Because I
That's
wanna.
perception, empathy, or psychic.
We're just
Because you
gonna
could.
use. We're just gonna perception empathy this, but I guess she could mind delve, but that's you know what she totally would mind delve.
I'm like,
This tea was for guest for him. That's you, yeah. Like yeah, let's no. She'd be like, is that the reason it's nicer than it should be for one of your?
I mean,
Yeah.
you are a knight of the skull of Kern. You're kind of like mind delve at the drop of a hat. It's what you do.
Yeah, there's a lot of mind delving going on here.
There's a lot of removing of people's memories and
Communication, psychic. Okay, cool. No, that's really low.
I'll give you the plus, but you also still have the +1 for the crowd because.
Okay, yeah.
And you have that one stun point you can spend to up it.
12.
Make it a 12. He's not that deep, yo. You have had harder times breaking into the mind of, like, whoever this wasn't trained in mental resistance of any sort. You're not even sure he is 100% aware that you're doing this.
Oh no. Okay.
He is an incompetent, pompous-ass bureaucrat who definitely got his position by kissing the right ass. Not necessarily because he's just good enough at his job that he keeps it, right? You know?
Yeah. That's definitely going in the report, though.
Mm-hmm. Yes, his justification on the import order for spending all of this to Skarn is to ensure that he can properly host various guests. There has been an uptick in the number of various appropriate guests, at least according to his log, that require the use of said tea.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Let's see. It doesn't full on deserve a torment. At this point, he hasn't pissed her off that much, but she will say, well, so long as it is only reserved for the most because of course, a high enough and appropriate station. Like, giving him just the deadpan, like, you think I won't check up on this 6 months from now? Like, look at your petty tea logs.
Because of course, in Kern, there is paperwork of everything.
Yes. Oh, paperwork is what keeps everything going. Paperwork is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I mean, for those
long
of you
live the Lich King and paperwork.
Yep, long live the Lich King and bureaucracy. So the couple minutes, most of the people, like, Carnage will let you know that all of the people that he's seen have all been coming into town. He's seen a number, like, everyone has come in as far as he's aware. There are no children yet in this town.
Well, that makes it easy. Should discipline need to be carried out. Although, it makes it a little harder in some regard, too, because children are really good at, like, negotiating pieces, so...
Yeah, but you definitely get the impression of this is a new...
Very new. Very, very new, yeah.
And, you know, there's stability coming from it, and it probably will be a very productive town soon, but it's a settlement. The attaché returns shortly. And just kind of stands slightly behind the chair as if he's supposed to be standing behind the bureaucrat, but he's standing just one step to the
Over
right,
to be
far
standing
enough,
more to the side. Yeah.
enough to you know, not enough to be commented on, but just enough that you know he's separated himself from.
Right. And then I imagine the tea is like piping hot because it was just made. And so like they've been sipping it. Like, you know, oh, so as to not burn your esophagus. I think when he returns, just downs the rest of the scalding hot tea, stands up and is like, well, let's walk around town, shall we?
And he, again, bows deferentially and waits for you to walk in front of him to lead this kind of.
Yeah, I just start walking.
It's, again, not a big town.
And I definitely glance at Ludmilla to see what she does with the rest of her tea, if she follows, and
she will glance at you as if to kind of, and she's sipping it, and she's waiting. Did you want her to accompany you?
Telepathically, she'll say, keep the bureaucrat busy. He talks too much.
You hear, and it's not, it's just that level of course. Like, you hear...
He's quite border... He's not incompetent, but feel free to intimidate him. Play around a bit. Mind games are wonderful things.
And so at that point,
many questions.
At that point, Ludmilla kind of will sit back a little further in the chair and, like, stretch her legs out and cross them, because she is like 6 foot tall at this point.
Taller than Ritka.
She is a very tall human, but she is and she crosses her legs and sips again, and then makes like through the mask makes eye contact with the bureaucrat, and it's like just stares at him awkwardly.
Keep him on his toes. Make him as uncomfortable as possible. Ask way too many questions about seemingly trivial things to make him think about things. Yeah.
And when you've walked, a short distance away from the line of sight of the bureaucrat, the attaché takes takes a couple of these papers off the clipboard and hands them to you. They're, brief counter-propaganda, but they're also bilingual. They're both in Alden and Kernish.
Oh, interesting.
Just for those who desire, sanctuary can be given. Join us. Freedom is offered.
Yeah. So, how recent do these look? How fresh are these propaganda papers?
Roll me an intelligence education.
A strong suit. Yes. Oh my gosh, 16. Knight of the Skull Ritka was with 6 stun points. She's just eagle-eyed investigator here.
There are a number of them, like 4 or 5 at this point. And there's definitely a couple that are obviously older that have been walked on. And a couple that are newer and slightly fresher. Maybe a week, maybe 2. You're also
interesting.
But you have to remember, you have a direct line of communication to Lady Tallis.
Yes. Other people don't. Yes.
And a young attaché would have to go through
a lot of hoops.
Too. So it's very obvious, it's not like he wasted time in reporting them when he found them.
Yeah.
But there was just a delay based on time of travel of information, all those kind of things.
So, but they seem fresh enough that possibly they were written in town, is what it seems like. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what, if they blew over, if they were brought here, but no, it looks like they were written in town. Quite fresh.
was
This town does agriculture, and you said clay pits.
Yes.
These homes, do they have basements?
No. No, the rock is too deep.
Crawl
Strong.
spaces.
There is just a couple in the major
Attics?
buildings. Most of the households are single story. No storage buildings have been built, but not. They are common use. Not everyone is. There are still Alexei and Droniki and Antovin are, and he kind of nods to the three night people. Are like they still sleep in the forge. Most are there are still a family or two that are sleeping in the common quarters.
And everyone in town has had adequate time to get here. Is anyone missing now out of the crowd?
And again, he'll do a quick sweep. Three.
Which three? Where do they work and reside?
They are from one of the operators of the kiln. One of the storehouse guards, and a member of Vasily. And he kind of glances back at the bureaucrat. His secretaries, 2 humans and 1 young Vatasha. She is his secretary, I guess.
All right. 3 people missing. It should make things a little easier. And telepathically, because, you know. Yay, Knights of the Skull. Ludmilla, ask him about his secretaries and why one of them does not seem to be present. Have him bring her forward. I'm going to be checking out the kiln and storehouse. There are 3 people missing.
You'll get a positive, impression, not even a verbal response, but a positive impression. Could you roll me intimidation? Just because we'll use your intimidation for...
Certainly. Would love to roll... Why? Rolling so good on my zeros skills and so poorly on my other skills. I'm going to use one of my conviction for that, because that's a sad intimidation. Come on. Intimidation.
Much better.
That's better. Yes, 14.
You can hear as you're walking around, the attaché has introduced himself. He is Nikolai.
Nikolai, yeah. She'd be like, I would love to see the kiln and storehouse, Nikolai.
Of course. And you kind of hear some low-level blustering coming from Vasily, the bureaucrat. And he Nikolai leads you around, but you definitely get the impression that whatever blustering Vasily was making, it was all for show, and there was going to be an attempt made to, of course, find who is missing. You get a response back from Ludmilla. Apparently, he has 4 secretaries.
Interesting. Feel free to question them.
I think I will do so. I don't like his attitude.
Feel free to question him as well. I am investigating the other 2 possible locations.
Where are you going first?
Let's go to... Go to the kiln first. Go down the left.
Okay.
Storehouse seems like a good place, lots of hidey places, but so the kiln would be a quick way to check off the list, potentially.
Again, this is not a very big town. There are 2 roads.
Yeah. One north, one south. Yeah, east, west.
And it's an easy thing to do. So, the kiln is to the eastern side of town. Closer to the clay pits, you know, easier.
Yes. Makes sense.
There's the clay pit that comes into town, then there's the production
storehouse. Where is that? What in perspective?
It would be near the kiln generally, because you know, it's like across the street and a little. So it's the same general direction. You're not going in opposite. Would not be going in opposite.
Which direction is Aldis? From here.
From here, Aldis would be south. Because if you're, are you on? Need to make sure that you are actually. Nope, you are not on that map. I need you on that map.
I'm not on the map. No. Ha. It's like south southwest.
Yeah. So like
depending on where on the border.
Right here in this little
southwest. Gotcha.
Yeah. So southwest. So
good to know.
And it's one of those that the town is much more generally just laid out on a on a cardinal north, south, east, west, because it's easy.
Yes.
And he is leading you slightly east. It's like the kiln, and then the storehouse is just a little bit further down, closer to the roadway to make it ease of transport and moving. Because not just like pottery manufacturer is going to be stored there, also any other goods that they make or manufacture, and to send back to wherever it needs to go. Exactly. Roll me your perception labels.
I have those.
10.
I've been rolling that number a lot tonight.
You have indeed, actually. So the kiln is open. It's still hot. Like this is a kiln house, so there are a number of kilns here.
Yeah.
They're all domed kilns, which means they're all like little beehives, like out in a courtyard kind of area, but with like in a still shaded to control the temperature. But it's not like a building per se.
Yeah.
There is an individual, you see like the big heavy gloves of somebody for the kiln, the big heavy leather gloves that you would need, a number of other tools. The heat coming off of them is still very high.
Are there any kilns that aren't hot?
No, there are no kilns that are not hot.
No people hiding in there, then.
It doesn't look like there's anyone that you can't... The door was left open as if somebody had left.
Ran out to the center of town? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. She gives it like the cursory, she definitely walks through because, how many rookies have gotten caught with someone just hiding on the other side of a barrel or a crate or something. So she does the walkthrough. And then it's like, the storehouse next, and just, because she probably saw it on the way, just starts walking in that direction.
He again follows you very easily. The storehouse door has a heavy lock on it.
Do you have the key for this?
Yes, have them. And he
Good. Saves you from having to get a new door.
Very quickly, he pulls a big ring, heavy cast iron ring of keys. They're very, very utilitarian.
Yeah.
Opens it very efficiently, opens the door, and steps back. Not in a manner as if...
He wants to be out of the way.
Yes, but also not as if he's in... You've done this a number of times. You recognize when somebody's like, I'm going to open the door and my person on the other side is going to chum out and get you and I'm getting out of the way of the person who's going to try. That's not what this is. This is,
okay,
I am both deferential to your authority and recognize that I am not a person who can fight bad things and I don't want to get in your way. It's the, I don't want to get out in your way, step back.
Yeah, and I think because the storehouse has a lot more places to hide, the flail will come out just so nothing gets the drop on her, and she'll just kind of drag it along the floor and the boxes or anything that's in there, just kind of make that noise. Play that psychological warfare game. If someone's in there, if not, you'll freak out the guy behind her, and that's cool too. And she'll investigate the warehouse.
Okay. You just muted yourself.
The storehouse.
So yes, okay, go ahead and roll me that perception eyeballs.
Here are my eyeballs.
Or investigation.
Oh, they're getting worse.
You have one more point of conviction.
I do. You know what? Let's not have any conviction for later.
I mean, perhaps other people in chat might give you more, but...
They might give me more, but, you know, I don't want to risk there being a sneaky Alden in here, because that would be terrible.
Horrible.
Stupid Aldens. Well,
12 is better than 9. Plus you have 3 stun points.
Ah, yes. 3 exploratory stunt points. Ooh, let's do... That makes me wonder.
Where you get to roll again immediately for with a different focus.
Yeah, I don't have a different focus per se, so it'll just be a generic, like... Unless, like, I could do, like, a psychic roll of some type, too.
You can. I mean, you would probably be psychically scanning your space.
Probably. Yeah, that, psychic contact, mind delving, searching, so I'll roll, like, it'd be perception psychic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, perception psychic would work.
I don't have that, so I'll just roll perception. We'll say it's perception psychic. What's done?
So you're gonna get different informations. Can the audience give her a complimentary skill check? Well, unfortunately, Mr. Virgil Kane, your audience can give her conviction points, which she can...
Blessing of the Felisar.
Blessing of the Felisar, which are conviction points, and in this game they allow for a reroll. Also, for death prevention and a bunch of other things.
Bunch of things, yeah.
Conviction is important and hard to gain, easy to spend. As many people in this game have... Thank you, Cosmic Demon Wolf.
Yeah, so she's psychically and eyeballingly looking.
And particularly because you're dragging this flail and it's intimidating, so you've opened yourself up to kind of see if anyone's, like, panicked, right? You know?
Yeah, I listen for, like, the, maybe a rustle of boxes, or panicked breathing, or someone freaking out with their psychic shield or something, yeah.
As you're dragging us, there's this moment of panic in like the loft section above you, and somebody literally falls to the ground at your feet. And then looks up and goes, "Was I supposed to be somewhere?"
Reach down by the collar, pick them up.
It's this young human who, the minute you pick him up, you can smell the alcohol off of.
Oh, wonderful. Did my wyvern not wake you with his greetings to the village?
No.
Oh, gosh, this Rika's not nice.
No, she's
and
not.
so this poor drunk fool, it's like a weekday afternoon. What is he doing getting intoxicated? I think he deserves, well, I don't think, Ritka thinks he deserves a little torment. Just to make sure he's not hiding anything else.
Okay.
With this.
So roll your Arcana.
I will. 14.
So what does this look like? He's not opposing it.
Oh, no. That's probably better for... Well, I don't know if it's better for... It's better for him in the long run.
Yeah, well, he's also not arcane in any way, and drunk, like, piss drunk.
Piss drunk, yeah. So, she's lifted him up. She's not super tall, so it's probably just to his feet, but maybe like the tip of his toes, and is looking at him, put the flail back, and is just and asks him that. And I think she does it while she asks him that question too. Like, and as he's like, no, and that's when it kicks in. She just like holds like one hand's on his collar, and the other hand goes to like reach for his collar as well, but it doesn't quite connect. It's like the force choke.
It's a force choke, and it's a
lot like a force choke.
A little bit of force choke, a little bit of force lightning at the same time, kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. He screams.
Because you can inflict it by touch or by psychic contact. This one's by touch. So yeah.
He will scream and start apologizing profusely.
I think she's like, it was too easy. There's no way he was like anything but buddy important that we were looking for. And so she'll just drop him and be like, ugh. Just check the hayloft because he fell down. That doesn't mean there's not anybody else up there. Stomp up, stab the hay, or like flail into the hay a bunch of times. Nobody's there. Stomp down. Time to meet his what was it? That's bureaucrat secretaries. She's getting a little pissy now. No stabbings. Still haven't found the person, but since she's checked these two places, maybe the person we're looking for, maybe Ludmilla has them. No.
And we will find out the answer to whether or not Ludmilla has this person that they're looking for after the break. We're going to take a short break, refresh yourself, get some water, get some snacks. We'll have to see, because, we need to know, why does Ritka leave Kern?
Why? That's crazy.
But we'll be back in just a few minutes, everyone, and until then... Sorry, need to make sure I have the right things gone. There we go. Be right back. Bye. Hello and welcome back.
Hello.
We hope you are refreshed and that you are ready for this. I should also warn you that this is Ritka the Evil. Content
Yes.
warning for Kern.
Everything.
Just-
Kern tent warning.
Content.
A Kern tent warning.
Look, to be fair, Lindy and I were left unsupervised.
We were. It's true. You can't blame us
You can't.
individually.
No. It's not our fault.
Right there.
Kern 10. The first one. Kerntent.
Yes. Because we're in the country of Kern. Kern. So it's a Kern tent warning. A lot of Kern puns over the past season, and now this OVA. I'm happy. Makes me happy.
Yeah. So, when we left off, Ritka was...
Irritated and bored?
irritated, bored, and had just tormented a drunken lout.
Yes, it wasn't very satisfying. I mean, he screamed nicely, but he didn't even put up any fight. It's so dull.
Ludmilla has sent back that that all four of, Vasily, the bureaucrat's secretaries, are now in the town square. Apparently, he had ordered one to remain in the office to observe the meeting and take notes.
That isn't what they asked. Sounds like someone needs to be punished.
Three human secretaries, one Vata Shah, all of whom are very attractive.
Oh. Oh no, they're hot. No. There's plenty of hot Knights of the Skull too, so yeah.
I mean, there's
but
Fedor.
but there's a hiring trend she notices for sure with his secretaries.
Yes. Why does...
Are they all ladies as well?
Yes.
Oh, all attractive lady secretaries.
Yep.
Well then. She'll just say that she's on her way.
And
And to start asking questions.
as you are coming back, you hear a commotion.
Wonderful. Things are finally getting exciting now. Love a commotion.
You also hear Ludmilla shout, "Be careful! She's armed!"
Well, I think we found our traitor. Big smile, flail, shield come out, and just starts walking forward excitedly. Like, oh, finally. Someone dares to draw arms against us.
Can you roll me perception?
What kind of perception? Apples?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 13. Lucky number 13.
Most of the citizenry have kind of, like, pulled themselves back or stepped back.
Smart as them.
Vasily is on the ground. He's...
Good.
You're not sure. He doesn't look to be bleeding, but...
Oh. Yet.
Yet. But, you know, he doesn't seem to be conscious, so whatever.
Oh. Unconscious. Well, that's less fun.
But Ludmilla is on the defensive against someone who is carrying a very large maul.
I think she just has a moment where she's just slightly disappointed. Like, really, Ludmilla? On the defensive? She doesn't say anything to Ludmilla. New blood. New blood. Because she was going to start calling her by her name if this win went. It's new blood still. And she's just going to walk up in there and flail.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yep. Flail. 13.
Does not. Well, does a 13 hit you, Ritka?
13 is my defense with a shield. If
yes, this individual does have a shield.
Does have a shield, so yes. So defense is 13.
I'm just using your stats, Ritka.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. For some reason, I don't know why. It's weird. Is it meets it, beats it, or does it have to roll above in this system?
It meets it meets your defense, but then it's your armor.
Okay, yeah. So 13 does meet the defense. So.
Okay, so it is a hit.
Not high on defense, high on armor.
But so roll your damage. You also have 2 combat stunt points.
Ooh, I do. Damage. 8 plus my combat stunts. Ooh, let's do pierce armor. Yeah.
So 8 gets through your armor? No.
8 is my armor exactly. But with pierce armor,
it's gonna get half through your armor.
Mm-hmm. So 4 would go through.
4. You see this individual who is doing really well against Ludmilla. She's better than Ludmilla.
Mm.
And you come up and swing on the flail, and she had just used her shield to block Ludmilla and was bringing them all around to hit her, and hadn't quite, you were coming from the east, the light was in her eyes, she hadn't quite seen you, but enough that she moved, and you bring the flail on her unguarded rib side.
Interesting that his secretary has heavy armor, a flail, a mace, and shield. What's it?
Yeah, it's definitely that she's wearing this heavy armor underneath what looks like generic robes?
Generic Kern clothing. Yeah.
Quasi Maoist utilitarian jumpsuit. Ritka.
Yes.
I need you to roll me willpower, self-discipline, please.
I would love to. 15.
What do you do when your face stares back at you and brings a maul to swing at your head?
Out of all the things that Ritka has done, seen, and could expect, that is not one of them. In like 200 years would she have, well, let's say like at least 195 years wouldn't
number.
Expect it. So I think she just very surprised, like, and it would probably, because it's such an honest shock / surprise, it would, even her body language would read as like surprised. And just real big eyes behind the silver mask. And maybe jaw drop slightly.
And in that moment, the mirror of you. Her hair is shorter than yours, significantly. Just brushing shoulder length.
Like this. Maybe a little shorter than this.
Maybe a little bit shorter, but not a lot.
And straight. And have the black.
No, it doesn't have the black.
Corruption.
Or the marks of corruption. And you feel this moment of connection, this inherent connection, this You know bone deep that this is something you've been missing for almost 200 years? 194 at least. Maybe, well, maybe not. Probably wouldn't have been that long. Since you were about 3. I would say that, right?
Yeah, probably 3 or 4.
And it's this, you feel this psychic bond that you knew was always there, but was just always closed off, just broken somehow. Kind of try and repair itself, reach out. And in this joint moment of disorientation, confusion, Ludmilla recovers from her, well,
being on the defensive.
Yeah. And she swings out with this great longsword at this mirror image of you. At the same time, she tries to crack psychically. It's a very traditional Knight of the Skull tactic. Swing with both the sword and the sorcery.
I thought about making a game called Sword and Sorcery to like get Skull Knights used to it, you know, but never really caught on.
It's a small group, very niche
Very
number
niche.
of people.
Very niche,
who
yeah.
would be into it. This mirror of you. Well, can you roll? Let's see. Let's see how Ludmilla does. She's going to get to aim.
She does very
rolled.
well. Yeah, you rolled.
Wait, I rolled in this game, didn't I?
Yeah. She does very well.
Like
almost 10 better than what she needed to. And she gets
6 stun points.
6 stun points, yeah.
So she'll break through this mirror of you's armor and use some of those stun points to shift so that the psychic attack occurs at the same time. But Ritka, there's this connection between you and this mirror image of you at the time that Ludmilla's psychic attack hits.
Oh boy.
And you feel this psychic pain, this scream, this reaching out to you.
Probably feels, I imagine, a little bit like the bond she has with her wyvern.
Yeah, it feels like carnage, but stronger. Oof. And
ooh,
deeper somehow. And
feelings.
Yeah, feelings.
Ew. Those are gross.
Fear.
What's that?
Desperation.
Oh, no.
Resolve. Commitment.
You will.
And as this mirror image of you takes this hit, she takes that shield that she had and reaches out and is going to roll with your flail, please.
I will definitely do that.
Because she's going to try something. We'll see if it works.
Is it aimed?
We will No, because she's being psychically attacked at the same time.
Okay. 12.
Yes, it will actually work. She's going to swing that shield and strike back at Ludmilla in the face. And yet, Ludmilla is probably not gonna be bothered overly by it. And there are two individuals involved in this altercation who haven't moved yet. The townspeople are in fear and are cowering away.
Good, as they should be.
But Rancid and Carnage.
Yeah.
And Rancid just saw this individual almost break his rider's nose.
Yeah.
So he leans down and is just going to pin this individual to the ground with a very large claw.
Which is really weird because it's like looking in a mirror. It's like I'm being pinned to the ground in a very large, especially with the this weird, really deep psychic connection right now.
Yeah.
Not great.
And then Ludmilla's on her and is ripping apart her mind. And you can feel it. That deep, beyond delving, tearing into someone's mind.
What it feels like.
From your end? It's echoes, but pain, and feels like a drill just piercing precisely right behind you. You know, that evil sinus pressure that you get in the worst of storms. And you just want to say, go away and never ever come back. Please don't come back. And it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Again and again and again. And you just feel it building further as this, you realize she's been blocking out and trying to keep Ludmilla out, and then suddenly, Ritka, there are things that you know. You know her name is Revka. You know her father's name. Is Yaramir. You know that Aldis is green and the trees are cool. And it's just overwhelming you. And she's still screaming. And then there's the scent of blood in the air. What do you do?
Well, since this is such a deep psychic connection, I imagine it feels a little bit like she's experiencing that herself as well. And so it's a little difficult to do.
It's almost like there's a feedback loop.
Yeah.
You feel it, but you know it's not yours, so you try and distance yourself, but then you feel it more, and then it's...
And then I look, and it looks like me, but I know it's not me. It's Revka. Who's my twin? And, oh, this is weird, and feelings, and green? The grass is greener on the other side. And just has a whole lot of feelings that have probably been repressed continually over the past, like, nearly 2 centuries. Just all sorts of bubble up. It's not instantaneous. It probably feels like forever, even though it's probably only a few minutes. As she's probably just trying to get a hold of her senses. Uh, and I don't think she's really able to do much. I'd imagine that Carnage comes down, sensing her feeling all this, like what's wrong. I don't think it's until she stops feeling that from Revka that she's able to get a hold of herself. Well, do anything. But everything's bubbling up.
Feel the arcana in the air start to shift and twist and grow. And you're not sure if it's you doing it, or her, or both of you. And you feel something snap. And it's... You hear Rancid start to scream.
Ooh, and wyvern screaming's not a fun sound.
You hear another snap, and another. And you realize the claw that was holding her down is burning and twisting. And it's... Well, it looks like what happens when you release torment and hold it for too long.
How's Ludmilla doing?
She's turned concerned to Rancid and is confused and doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah. Ritka kind of snaps and goes off the deep end a little bit, I think. But right before that happens, how's Revka look? Not great, I'd imagine.
You can tell she's still breathing, you're not quite sure how.
Cool. And I think
she looks like Ludmilla had been taking her time. Slowly.
Oh, but yes, as a good Knight of the Skull should.
Yeah. Stabbing to joints, attacking shoulder, elbow.
Yeah, places that don't bleed a lot but hurt a lot and limit mobility, and while tormenting and mind delving all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think kind of one of those things where you just get so mad, everything kind of goes red, you don't really remember everything exactly. But she's gonna go for Ludmilla, the new blood, because in the broken state of Ritka's mind at the moment, Ludmilla's the one who caused her all this pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, a little sword and sorcery.
So go ahead and roll me both Mind Delve and this attack. And you'll get a +2 to the attack because...
Do a Torment in the attack.
A Torment in the attack sounds good.
That sounds way more fun. 12. Not great on that Torment, but let's see how the flail does. 13.
15 because she isn't
15.
seeing this coming.
Yeah.
She has no clue this is happening. You will definitely hit her
now.
An attack. She's disoriented and confused. You are her mentor, training day partner.
Yeah. I imagine when that happens, Carnage moves in on Rancid.
Yeah, Carnage is gonna take out Rancid.
Because Themes and Carnage would not want Rancid to try anything on Ritka.
Yeah. It gets messy. Rancid is not expecting it. He's too busy being screaming in pain from the fact that all of his tendons have just ruptured. And Carnage attacking from behind and above just rips off the back of his throat. The back of the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Breaks the spine.
Sorry, Rancid. Kind of having a mental breakdown here. But I'm like mega corrupt. It's a messy breakdown. It's a very messy breakdown. And I don't think it doesn't just stay with Ludmilla.
So
Anything that moves. I don't even think she realized it's just everything hurt on such a deep visceral level, because I imagine she's been tormented before, she's been mind delved on before, part of Knights of the Skull training, but it's never felt quite like that.
And it's you but not you, and you
Yeah.
see it but you don't see it. It's this weird double vision kind of applying. Do you leave anyone alive?
Not intentionally.
Are you in control enough to hunt them down? Or is it just Berserker?
I think it's just Berserker.
Roll me 3d10.
Oops, I helped if I type correctly. 20. She's a Slayer specialization. She's very good at killing.
You only missed 20 because they were at the outside of it and were aware that shit. 3 of those 20 are those night people who are like,
yeah,
we've seen Knights of the Skull. I don't.
And if they were on the outside, they might not have known exactly what was happening and just was like, oh god, everyone's dying, let's go.
Yeah, there was a lot of everyone's dying, let's go. I have a very, well, Vasily is going to die.
Yes. Yeah.
But I need to know if Nikolai lives or not.
Oh. Nikolai's a smart boy.
And he was behind, he, was with you when you were searching, so he didn't, he was not going to go running into battle when you heard the altercation.
She chased everyone down. Because again, she wasn't in enough control for that. Everything just kind of broke inside her all at once. And a lot of corruption was there. It was just like, and that results in a lot of murder. I feel like, Ritka doesn't know, but Nikolai is a smart boy, and I think he might know when to get out of town. But I don't think he was in the back, so
I'll say Ritka has no idea what happened to Nikolai.
Probably doesn't even think anyone made it out alive.
Ritka probably has no idea if anyone made it out alive, but
yeah.
But I know how many people made it out alive. Just, which is important for my notes.
Just in case of something, Just in case.
When you come back to yourself. The next question is, what do you do? It's eerily quiet. The sun is setting.
Imagine she's had to cleanse a couple of towns before, but it's never been like this. Drenched head to toe in blood. And I think that's when she realizes that she did all this.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't a gold star on her perfect record.
No, it's not.
It's not. And she panics. For the first time in a very, very, very long time. She doesn't know what to do. This was very un-Kernish of her. Well, kind of un-Kernish of her.
Well,
the murdering of her partner and, you know...
the lack of control.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not gonna... That doesn't bode well for her.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she's feeling some things.
You're feeling a lot of things.
A lot of things. And I think there's that picture of the green grass, just all the greenery of that forest. That image is in her mind. And she's experiencing a lot of not physical bleed, but mental bleed right now. And so I think, and she has those propaganda notes, I think she just leaves. She's on a border town. I think she just starts walking towards Aldis. She doesn't know why. It just feels like what she should do in this situation. It's not good. It's not what she should do. But it feels right.
So we're gonna wind the clock forward about a month. It took you about 3-4 days to cross the mountains. Because you didn't really go through any of the passes. You went directly across the mountains.
Directly. All this is that way, and that's the way she walked.
You have been in this green forest for about a month.
Oh. And when she came to, her skull mask wasn't on. After her murdery rampage. She had it, but it wasn't on her face. And
yes, she kept it.
Mm-hmm.
And you buried it with your armor.
Yes. Let's just bury this. Let's just bury this for now.
In a cave.
In a cave.
And we won't see that armor or that mask for another 5 years. But it's been a month.
Month of identity crisis.
What's your name now?
Well, as far as she knows, everybody in that town be dead, including Revka. And Revka had to have been the person writing these notes, these papers from Aldis. So she's Revka right now.
She's Revka.
She cut her hair. She feels awful because corruption sickness sucks.
Yeah.
And she's not embracing it right now.
There's a hut, small house.
Yeah.
And a garden.
The gardening's kind of therapeutic. She enjoys the gardening. It's something that she vaguely remembers Yaromir doing. But in Kern, it's weird. Weird influx of certain things she remembers and certain things she doesn't. And she's trying to survive each day. figure out who she is. What is she doing?
Can you roll me Constitution Stamina?
I can roll you Constitution Stamina.
Yeah, that wink is required. It's in the
16.
writing.
It's in the writing, yeah.
It takes... like, the first month it wasn't so bad, and then you realize that you're not doing horrible things. And it's awful. You spend weeks just barely getting out of bed. So I have a question. Do you eat any meat?
Probably, but not a lot. Like rabbit snares, maybe. Something she could set with low energy just to get some type of food.
I mean, the food you can find, there's actually lots of it here. Mushrooms.
But she's so used to meat. I don't think she goes hunting, but she does set some snares. Yeah.
It's by the end of the first couple months, you've evened out. You've lost the dark blood red veins and blackness. You just look pale.
Very ill.
And then you hear word of someone is passerby. There's a group of the Sovereign's finest working their way through the Pavin Weald, checking on folks, checking on the border.
There's something in the back of her mind that's like, ugh, those schmucks. Because her thought process is still a bit discombobulated.
I mean, like...
Like, oh, the Sovereign's finest. Those schmucks. Like, it's a little two-faced weird-like, but...
I mean...
You know, had an experience.
You've had an experience. A couple weeks go by and this young person, human, although his eyes glow, calls out to you. Revka, I'm here for our rematch.
Internally, she's like, I don't feel good.
And then you hear above you this psychic voice. Revka, I will act as referee for you and Vashard. It's a ride-in.
Few things very quickly and briefly go through her mind of, if I could kill one of those, Lady Tallis would... not in Kern. God, I feel ill. I don't want to fight some punk-ass kid. You know what? I feel well enough to kick some ass. Fine, whatever. I'm Revka. Revka feels good enough to kick ass. And just picks up the shield and her flail. Or a flail. And, goes out to teach this punk a lesson, but she feels awful.
And he smirks at you. But it's that flirtatious quasi-smirk.
Oh, well now she's confused. Because she just heard this young punk and, like, glimpsed him, but now he's hot and flirty and, like, wants to fight flirty, and that's totally up her alley. Like, the flirty fight is like flirt, fight, fuck. And it's a really good way of going about things, and she's into it, So she feels slightly. I mean, she still feels like utter just terrible, just sickness. But she'll play it cool because it is a little lonely without Carnage or her dad. Or she's used to having a partner. She's not used to being alone. Weird.
So it's a training bout. You're gonna take a -2.
That's all?
Currently.
Okay. Currently, yes.
To your roll.
Cool. 9. Well, 2.
Okay, wait. Time out. I rolled for Vishard, and Vishard stole shit.
Well, and look, and it's and you wouldn't have beat her if she didn't have corruption sickness right now.
I want this noted, Simon. We love Vishard, but
We love Vishard, but based on these facts, like.
Look,
the dice don't lie.
The dice don't lie.
I mean, you did win this second bout with Revka, but apparently it wasn't by much.
Oh no! It would be a 12. It is a 12.
Okay.
Because for some reason, Simon, you don't have your heavy blades focus added into. Oh no, you do. You do. No, so it's a 10. It's a 10.
It's a 10. Well, we tried. She would have beat you had she not been mega corruption sickness.
Yeah, I see it now.
So,
I see it now.
Now we know how close it was.
Yeah,
you lost the first, but this is the second.
This is Ritka, and
this is Ritka as Revka, which is the second bout.
Yeah,
which
so
is the one you won, but only because Revka was mega corruption sick.
Well, Ritka was mega corruption sick.
Revka,
and she was also kind of distracted.
Distracted? You were distracting. But now we know how close it was. How just so close it was. And she's sitting there afterwards like, if I wasn't feeling like shit and if he wasn't so hot, I would have won that. Like that's in her brain afterwards. For sure.
For sure.
Because it was so close.
It was really close.
Yeah. Look. Wow. Nice tell the story. And they didn't tell a different story, they just expanded upon the story we knew.
Yeah, exactly. And this hawk, Russ, apparently.
Yes, I knew that.
Is like, Revka, I wish to discuss your operation in Kern. Was it successful?
Flashbacks. No, unfortunately, Knights of the Skull showed up and the village was slaughtered.
Are you alright? I understand how this could be disconcerting.
I could use some time a bit more time to process everything that happened, but I am physically fine.
Of course. We are glad that you are alright. We are sorry that we could not be more help.
It's alright.
And
this be helped.
Young, dark-haired, glowing-eyed human who winks at you as he leaves. Sort of. You're pretty sure he winked.
All sorts of conflicted.
And Miss Ryhawk go off, continuing around through the Pavin Weald. And he comes back to you a couple times. Later.
Finds out at some point he's part of the Sovereign's Finest and is like...
But that's how Ritka left Kern. And I have one last question for you, Lindy. As we
do
end
you?
This little flashback.
Yeah. What's your question?
Your bond with Carnage is never broken. Do you reach out to it?
In the 5 years?
Mm-hmm. It's there, waiting in the back of your mind.
So sad for poor Carnage if I don't, but I don't know if she would. Because that's a big old wyvern flying up and giving her big sloppy wyvern kisses would be a very obvious way of saying, sup, I'm not from around here. And I'm probably not Revka. I think she does reach out, but just feelings. Not location. And not, like, no instructions, just, like, I'm okay. It's okay. Take care of yourself.
Coming
Mental
soon.
hug.
Coming soon. Hugs. Coming soon. Cuddles. We play soon. Play.
Mental hugs. Oh. Yeah, I don't think she reaches out often, but maybe if she's feeling super homesick or nostalgic, she'll reach out to Carnage. Not anyone else in Kern, not her dad, no one else, but to Carnage. Carnage doesn't talk to other people other than Ritka.
And that's... We're going to end this little flashback. But I want to take a moment to give a little hint of the future. Just a small one. After your discussion with Lady Tallis?
Yeah.
And when Vishard got bitten?
Yeah.
You're making your way from the Pavin Weald to the city of Aldis. And you feel that connection in the back of your mind. We come play soon? We play soon?
Looks at the door, looks at the beach, looks at all these Kurdish people around her.
We play soon?
And I think she's just at this point like, you know, why not? Externally, she's just like, well, you know, at this point, how much worse could it get for this situation? So I think she's, yes, Carnage, very soon.
Okay. It's very green. It's very green. Very, very green.
You're here. Where are you?
And we're gonna pick up with that at the start of season 2.
Redka's just walking along, everybody back to the capital. It's just like, face journey briefly takes place.
We couldn't leave Carnage alone. He's
No.
such a good wyvern pupper.
He's such a good boy.
He is such a good boy.
He's such a good boy. He's really good at murder, flying, eating. He's got many scaly talents that nobody got to see in season 1 because he was only mentioned once or twice in season 1.
Yes. It'll be fine. But that is where we end this little first of our OVA flashbacks. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Lindy, for joining me in the twisted mind of what happened. I'm going to let Lindy tell you all about the fun things she's doing this week, and then I'll do my spiel and shill, and we'll start. Go. Just go. It's only you, so it's just you.
Oh my goodness. Well, this was a lot of fun. I liked going back to see evil Ritka, and but there was a couple moments where I was like, no, she's super freaking evil right now, just torment-ness, because Ritka, she went on like a journey, in life, and she became a better person. So sometimes I had to remind myself that no, she would totally just torment this guy for no reason other than he exists in front of her. So yeah, Ritka used to be a lot less cool. But if you like cool people, you should definitely watch the rest of these OVAs because they're gonna be awesome. I'm Lindy, and I play Ritka, which I'm very excited to get back to in season 2. And see it with everything happens, because good heavens, I don't know. But you can also find me. I was off on those things last week because fence building. It was a lot.
It's a very nice looking fence.
Thank you. It's so close to being done. I'm hoping by the end of this week. But anyway, you can find me on Monday, tomorrow, on my channel for Wanderlust and Wildmount. I think we're about to go find a cult. I didn't think it was a cult we were investigating a murder, but I'm pretty sure it's a cult now. So we're gonna get to deal with that. And then on Tuesday, I have severed all of my characters' heads and put them in jars on a shelf in Aslan's laboratory in Darkon. So find out how they're gonna get out of that predicament because they don't know, and I only have things to give them. Like, try stuff. So we're gonna see how long their heads on shelves for, and what happens with that on Tuesday. And then let's see, Wednesday I'll be here playing Aurelia Ludus Sterling. Anyways, it's very fun. It's Mechton. There's some drama going on. I've been served divorce papers. I'm fine. My character's been served divorce papers. It's tragic and dramatic and awesome, and you should definitely come check it out. And then Kolos is on break, so I think that's it for me for this week.
Mr. Virgil Kane, Witcher is currently on break until July because people are moving. And we're running our Mechton campaign, which is another R. Telstorian property. It's Gundam. They're Gundams. It's big Gundam drama on Wednesdays. And then it will be back. But Witcher will be back on Wednesday nights starting the middle, the second or third week of July, as soon as people finish moving and getting their stuff together. And I can tell you right now that season 2 for Witcher is going to be juicy. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's gonna be juicy. And if you missed any of the episodes, you can always check them out on Eptud. Oh yeah, but sorry you won't be able to join us live on Wednesdays, Mr. Virgil Kane, but I put all of the episodes up on YouTube the next day, so you can check them out. There's going to be some things that are happening. I know a lot of things that are happening. Oh, I can't wait, because the thing's going to be happening. But yes, so everything goes up on YouTube. You can check it out. And then we'll be back But as for me, hey all, you know me. I'm Praxagorth as I'm Deirdre Donlin at Deirdre Donlin on Twitter. Praxagorth as me 4 you see me around here on Twitch, and I'm your friendly neighborhood Prax. I will be here on Wednesday with Lindy because it'll be episode 3, the halfway point of our little mini campaign of Mekton.
No.
Yeah, like Lindy said, there were divorce papers filed and questions of other people getting married and people not being invited to the wedding, and
Tragic. I'm so popular. I should know about these things and not be divorced.
I mean, you're not divorced yet. You haven't signed them.
That's true, and I have an expertise in law, so I'm gonna be looking over them papers on Wednesday.
You should look over those papers on Wednesday.
I will.
I'm just saying.
I will.
There'll be lots of interesting things happening on Wednesday. How much drama can I pack into 6 weeks of Mekton, yo? And then Sunday we will be back here for the second of our little OVA flashbacks from our Blue Rose with our very, very, very own, very dear friend Trooper, the wonderful, wonderful Trooper SJP, and his little bit of backstory from Russ the Rhyhawk, which will be very entertaining, and I can't wait for you all to see. And other than that, I always post where I'm going to be. You should follow me on Twitter because I post where I'm going to be, all the wonderful people that I get to play and hang out with. You mean a Mekton of drama, Cosmic Demon Wolf? Yes. Yes, the answer to that is yes. Look, I was challenged about how many emotional points I could put into each episode, and then
You were. I saw the challenge, and I said, oh no.
And I think I'm kind of meeting it. Or at least attempting to.
I would say so. We
We'll
had some
find
drama.
It'll be some drama, and there'll be mech fights eventually, soon-ish, probably. I don't know. We'll find out. But check my Twitter because I was posted where I'm going to be, all the fun, wonderful people I get to hang out with, all the stories and fun times I get to have sharing with all of you fine folks. And until next time, have yourself a wonderful... We should raid somebody, shouldn't we?
Oh, that might be nice of us.
I feel like we should be nice. It's Sunday night. We should raid somebody.
On a 3-day weekend, too.
On a 3-day weekend. Who can we... We should go raid Colin, right?
I was just about to say, Colonomicon is streaming.
Yeah, he's doing Apocalypse World. So we'll go raid Colin. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye now.